I knew who my husband is when I was 18. We had a lovely life in college, everything was laughter and fun. After 5 years of relationship, he proposed to me and I gladly accepted. I was excited and wanted to start a family with him. However, after trying for a long time and seeing that things were not working out, we decided to go to the doctor. The diagnosis was devastating. My husband was infertile and would not be able to fulfill one of my biggest dreams, that of being a mother. He was devastated and very sad. I tried to comfort him and make him feel that I was by his side, despite the circumstances. I proposed the idea of adopting a child and changing his life, making him happy. But he rejected that possibility. He wanted to have his own child. He dreamed of teaching him to play soccer, sharing moments together in the park and much more. We couldn't find a viable solution and, as if that wasn't enough, one Sunday night his mother passed away, leaving his father alone and in sadness. My husband proposed that we should take his father to live with us while he recovered and rebuilt his life. I had no choice but to agree, as he had been through a very difficult week, and I was willing to do anything to bring a smile to his face. I knew that living with my father-in-law would be a bad idea. I never agreed with that, because they tend to meddle in marriages. The first few weeks I felt uncomfortable with my father-in-law's constant presence, watching what I was doing and how I was doing it, as if he was accountable to my husband. I told my husband about this and he told me that his father would act that way with his mother, probably due to age, and that he was doing it with me trying to get over the 30-plus year relationship he had with her. One morning, coming out of the shower, I noticed that my father-in-law was not in the living room or on the patio. I didn't pay much attention to him and figured he had gone for a short walk or to the store. I headed to the bedroom to get dressed slowly while I got ready as usual. The surprise was mine when, upon taking a closer look in the mirror, I discovered that someone was watching me from the closet. I rushed over and opened it with a bang, and there was my father-in-law, with his pants down, holding his device in his hand. As if that wasn't enough, at that moment, my husband entered the room unexpectedly, warning that we were about to leave for work. It was a very awkward moment in which we all fell silent. For the rest of the day, the subject was not mentioned and it passed in an uncomfortable silence. Only thoughts and insecurities were going through my mind. If my husband had not been present, I could have been a victim of abuse by that man who claimed to be my father-in-law. After a few days and remembering the scene, I decided to meet with a friend and tell her what had happened that morning. She suggested that I place cameras at the entrance of the room to show my husband how the man was hiding in the room without permission. I took her advice and decided to install a camera pointed directly at the bedroom door, but not inside, to avoid misunderstandings on my husband's part. Strangely, however, I never managed to catch him in the act. One afternoon, he approached me to apologize, and as I did not want to cause any inconvenience, I had no choice but to accept it. As time went by, my relationship with my father-in-law began to improve. The afternoons off from work became pleasant moments and we shared pleasant times together. From one moment to the next, I began to see my father-in-law as a mature, elegant, friendly and charming man, although also somewhat mysterious. I felt a slight desire to get to know him better, a need to be a mother, something that was impossible with my husband because of his condition. I carefully reviewed the video records and realized that he was looking at me with the same pleasure and desire that my husband had lost, and I was looking at him that way too. I began to see him with different eyes. I no longer saw him as old. When I found out about my father-in-law's desire for me, I decided to take advantage of a morning when I pretended to be sick so I wouldn't have to go to work. I proposed to my father-in-law that he accompany me to my room, and he gladly accepted. Once inside, I suggested that instead of watching me so intently, he put his hands on me. I was ready for anything with him. The smell of soap, perfume and pleasant music in the background were witnesses of that romantic morning with my father-in-law. I was very satisfied with that experience and decided to take one day a week to have intimate encounters with him. However, over time, I began to feel guilt and sorrow for my husband, who was a great person and a good husband. I didn't know what to do with my life. I felt trapped in a maze with no way out. I had fallen in love with my father-in-law and at the same time I felt affection for my husband. I wanted to run away and forget everything that had happened in that house, without having to answer to anyone. Everything would have been idyllic if that pleasant encounter with my father-in-law had not happened. After a month and seeing that my period had not arrived, I told my father-in-law that apparently I had achieved my dream of becoming a mother, but now I did not know what to do. I told him about my plan to leave home, but he was adamantly opposed. After a couple more weeks, it was impossible to hide it, my belly was starting to grow. When my husband found out, he had no choice but to kick me and his father out of the house. He was so disappointed, we were the only people he trusted and we had failed him. In conclusion, I feel undeniable guilt for everything that happened.